Do you remember when they told you that you would be the creative director? And what was your feeling?
I was walking across the street and the phone rang, and it was the unknown caller, which I knew was the talent scout. And I sort of stopped in the middle of traffic and was like, oh my God, this is the call. This is the call. And then it was a yes. And I screamed in the middle of Madison Avenue. I'll never forget. Yeah, it was a really beautiful day. I think it was a thing where I was so excited, and then I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a challenge. Like, cause it's such a legacy to step into. And that comes with a lot of challenges, but I was so inspired to take it on.
Was it a long process? I suppose there are many interviews. And,
It was very long. In the beginning, I was recruited by a talent agency, and I went in for a meeting with her, and she said, you know, there's a few things going on that we can talk about, and you know, one of them is this, and one of them is Mugler, and I said, I want that one, because it's a house I've always known about. It's a house I've always loved. I have an architecture background, and there's something very specific in a built sense about the clothes that I've always been attracted to. How he always made curves work, and how he made the shoulders work, and the structural portion of it. And then also I think also the cultural aspect of it for me is very important, because Mugler is such a dazzling cultural beacon about diversity and openness and telling stories of all different types of people.
Are the archives very important for you? It must be a danger as well, because I'm sure you don't want to fall into reproducing what was done.
I have a very specific way of working with them. For me, the archive is very important because I'm not the kind of designer who wanted to come into this job and neglect the respect to the archive. I mean, I think there are some designers that come into a house and then they say, oh, you know, it's time to move on, la la la. And I thought that I respect the house too much, and I respect his work too much to do that. But then at the same time, if you respect Mr. Mugler's work, you also don't want to copy him. And I think because that's in a way disrespectful as well. So I try to find a balance of how to really imbibe and just kind of take it all in and then move it away from me. So pretty much every season we start by calling in a series of pieces that we are kind of feeling for in that season. And we bring them in and we try them on a fit model, and we mix them with other things, and we have like a playtime with them basically. And then maybe we'll keep one or two around as like a material reference, or like a line of a cut of a dress that we want to sort of study. So we'll keep maybe one or two, but I can tell you that if you keep them in the room, they really talk to you, because they're so bold and they're so strong that basically they're like talking to you from the corner. So we put them in black bags and we make sure that they come out only when they need to, because also, you know, they are so strong and they can really kind of take things over. So what I do is I sort of work from the memory of having seen them instead, so that I really guarantee that I put my filter on them and that they come out of my aesthetic and not out of his so much. At the same time, I really try to play with the codes and to make sure that the codes are still present, because I do want they should be able to identify that it's Mugler in general from across the street.
When you say to recognize the brand, and I saw that very well in the spring 2020 collection.
Yeah.
I think that when I was saying that you're been able to catch the spirit, I saw it in that way. I said, wow, that's the new Mugler, but that's him as well, and it's wonderful. And I was wondering, in that collection, did you feel you were close to what you wanted to do?
It's interesting, because when I started working at Mugler, I had a very different relationship to sexy, and I had a very different relationship to drama. And I think these are the two things that I would describe, like, over the first year and a half, 2 years, these are the things that I was finding my own language for. And I would say that spring 2020 was like some sort of magical catapult. It was the season where everything came together in such a more clear and kind of furious way. Like it just all sort of rushed out of me, and everything was just vibing that season. It was the first time that I made some different decisions about the cast. From the very beginning, I wanted to work with women that had already worked with Mr. Mugler before. My approach to casting is really about representing as many different parts of people as possible. So for me, age is really important. I don't believe that all models should be 17 to 22, which is sort of the common thing. So I wanted women in their 60s, women in their 50s, women in their 40s, women in their 30s, and young people all mixed together. Then also in terms of ethnicity, to have a really broad range, but then even more to have people that really weren't professional models, but people that were really embodying the spirit of Mugler. And I think that that's so much about what the casting is. I cast a little bit differently than a lot of designers. I have the models come in and sit down and talk to me instead of just walk in and show me what they look like, because Mugler is so much about a confident and bold, but also very loving person. Because I think the Mugler woman is such a leader, and she's very empathetic, and she wants to hear other stories, and she's kind, and she brings other people up. It's all about making everyone feel their very best, and it's my job to make people feel as good as possible.
You are very close to the world of music as well. It seems that many great singers, there are many, Dua Lipa, Cardi B, Rosalia, Miley Cyrus, Alicia Keys, they seem to love this type of, this style. Is there a reason? What's the, maybe because Mugler is the world of entertainment as well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Mugler really had to get back on the stage because I think there's such a showmanship to the house, and I don't think people really have that kind of budget for shows anymore. And I still wanted to find a way to have this dramatic spectacle. So getting Mugler into, you know, designing costumes for tours and for music videos and for special events for singers and artists was a big priority for me. So it's something that I was always trying to work towards. We got a really big lift up because in the 6 months after I arrived, we got a phone call from Beyonce that she was planning a tour that started and was practicing in Paris. And so she wanted us to design for her, and we did this huge project for her that ended up going forward. And that really was the beginning. And I think that began a long and wonderful journey with a lot of people, because they saw that we could bring that sort of drama on the stage. Because it's sort of, for me, it's my couture show. Like that's when I get to pull everything I've got out of my hat and show the world something that's a little bit bigger and wilder than ready to wear. So for me, that's sort of my way of getting couture back on the map for us.
What is your wish with the brand? Where would you like to see it in a few years?
I mean, I want to see Mugler on the street, on everybody. I mean, I think that that's my dream. I think, you know, it's hard to take over a house that was started by someone else, and someone else that did such a beautiful job, and someone else who's alive. It's a big challenge. But for me, I believe so much in the legacy, and I want to see it go forward. So the first thing was to make sure that everyone understood what the Mugler spirit was about. And I think that's about bringing confidence to people and to provide clothes to people that when they put them on, it lifts them up and it gives them an amazing day, and it gives them this like amazing confidence. So for me, I want the house to grow. I want to be able to sell more. I want to be able to have a higher volume, be able to make things at lower prices. So when the volume gets higher, I want to be able to really, I don't know, just bring it back basically is my main goal. And to do that in the most sort of respectful and reverent way of what he did. I think that's really my goal.
Well, thank you so much, Casey. It's been wonderful talking to you, and you do an amazing job. As I said, keep on the good work. And
thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you too. Thank you for having me.
Long live the House of Mugler.
Amen.